All right, let's get started. And then I know people will be hopping on as we continue and they can catch up, but want to make sure that we honor your time. Thanks you again so much for showing up, everybody. I'd love to kick things off and introduce somebody who is an awesome agent at my office here. Oh, well, first I'll introduce myself. Team leader, Keller Williams, Beach Cities. My name is Jake. I've been with the company for all 4.5 years, almost 5 years. And super excited to introduce my guest, Kimberlee Bilbrew, one of our agents who has a pretty unique background and has been able to find a lot of success, even with kind of a crazy schedule and some other stuff. And I'll let her share how she's done that. But yeah, Kimberlee, you want to just kick us off and let us know how long you've been in real estate and with KW?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me. Because if we're going to start off early in the morning, we're going to start off with a jolt of energy. And if you have the opportunity, please turn on your cameras because I definitely will tell you you'll get more from this exchange if we're looking at each other. So let me start. So yes, I've been with Keller Williams, actually Beach Cities, my whole career. I've been here since 2018 and glad to call this my place of business, but definitely my family.
Awesome. Awesome. And how did you get started in real estate? Like what drew you to it? What did you do before?
So actually, I have been in love with real estate forever. I can remember when I was a child, I used to take the Sunday paper and the real estate paper section and I would circle literally where I would live, what I would buy, right? And everybody thought I was crazy. And even when I was literally, I think my dad said I was about 8, 9 years old, I walked up to him and gave him money in his hand and told him I was paying rent because I needed to contribute, right? So that's how long and how crazy I've been about real estate. I would say my background is my family has definitely been in general contracting, as well as owners of land, as well as real estate. So it was something that I innately knew I would be attracted to and be in. Once I became a homeowner myself is when I actually wanted to get into the business even more. I had flirted with the idea. And as Jake said before, I have a crazy, crazy schedule only because I have 23 years in social services. So I've been a social worker, supervisor, and now I serve as an administrator with the County of Los Angeles. And I grow a real estate business that is beyond my imagination. I initially came in thinking that I would, maybe sell one or two a year, and it definitely hasn't been that. So I am just excited to be able to show other people how you can access wealth through a purchase. Like when you just buy something, it's going to lose value. When you buy real estate, it's going to definitely triple and quadruple. Another fun fact about myself is that I live in Inglewood. So 7 years ago, I bought in Inglewood. And if you guys have been watching the market, you know that I'm like, you should jump in because if you can make leaps and bounds the way I have, you will want to be a part of it.
That's so cool. Yeah, that area is just completely blown up over the last 7 years. Cool that you got into to be able to get in all that time ago. I'm sure
Yes,
you're like, I wish I would have done it sooner too, right? I wish you were able to.
absolutely. I remember initially they did rezoning in the area and they changed apartments over to condos. And they initially came on at $85,000 because I was actually, before I even got my license or anything, I used to go to open houses every day. Like literally when they were open, I was available. I would just pull over and go, right? So I remember them being initially $85,000 and going, they're crazy to try to sell this for $85,000. Those same ones are going for $400,000 to $500,000 right here in the city of Inglewood. So if I would have just jumped in at 85,000 and said, hey, let me buy this apartment, how much more richer I would be. But
Wow.
it's not when I'll let that go. I'll forgive myself and know moving forward the tractions and things I need to look at.
That's right. That's right. The best time to do something was yesterday, right? And the second best time is
Exactly.
today. So good, good, good. Okay, so you've been now doing it for a few years and clearly juggling both kind of, your other career in social services and real estate. I'm sure you have felt the tension. I'm sure you felt like the craziness of how do I do this? And you built a really solid business. Like you said, beyond what you would have expected. Why do you what keeps you doing it? Why do you continue doing it? Why do you continue to live in that grind and the tension between those two?
One is real estate provides me an opportunity to do those things that I imagined. You know, like they were always dreams. They were on my vision board, but I can actually fulfill and live those things through my life with real estate. So one is I would think that I like the rush. So it's the romantic like relationship. So, okay, come with me for a second. As a social worker, I'm like a people person. I like to be like right there with you, right? And wherever the problem is initially, I'm able to assist you, educate you, and walk you through the process, right? So whatever your strong suit is, because everybody here, of course, is not a social worker. Some people might be in other businesses. If you switch your mind to whatever it is that you were working and put it into real estate. So that's exactly what I did. I took what I do in social work and I actually translated it into real estate. So these people come in with the same level of fear. They come in with the unknown and they need an expert. So then I'm able to assist them through education. What is it that they want to know? What is it that they need? Because some people come in and they're just like off and running. They don't need much. I already know the process. Then we get halfway in it and they're like, Kim, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. So it's like actually listening to all the whole story, getting what it is exactly that they want from this purchase, from this upleg, from this sale to assist the legacy of their family, whatever it may be. I listen to exactly what it is that they are interested in, and I make sure that translates in our transaction. So I bring me to work every day. I say,
that.
you know, like accountants are able to use, you know, computers. Our business, like, yes, we can know the tools, but if we're not active in our business, we don't have a business. Right. And so a lot of people also ask me, well, Kim, how did all of your business happen? I fortunately can say that mine mostly has been from referrals. And a lot of ours, we might say that it's from referrals, but I can say that 90% of my business is from referrals. And I sat back and I said, how is that possible? But when I thought about it even more, it has to do with how you show up every day. And it's how you show up in what circles you are in. Because I didn't all of a sudden decide that I was going to be of service to my community. I didn't all of a sudden decide that I was going to be an advocate or that I was going to educate people. I do that in every facet of my life. So now that they know that I'm in now that they know that I'm in real estate, it's a natural thing for them. They're like, if you're going to be that passionate in the other areas that I've seen you, I know you'll be passionate about real estate. So then they therefore trust me to walk them through the process.
I love that you brought that up, because you don't have to wait to get into real estate, you know, like you said. And for those of you who are just getting started out, or who are trying to maybe build a business now, or build more of that sphere, like Kimberlee said, what I heard you say was you just brought value regardless of what you were doing, and people saw that you would bring value, and then now they associate you with service, you know, high quality, value bringing, and so they're like, oh, she's in real estate, cool, I'll just follow her and trust her in that too. How you show up, people will follow you no matter what you do, right?
Yes. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody that we know, because I want to make sure that we get this right. That doesn't mean that everybody that I know that's purchasing right now is going to utilize me, right? Now, that was something that initially you like, oh, is that a gut punch, right? But no, it doesn't mean that. What it means is that you're able to show up, and you could say, you could still come to me. I could still advise you. But you know what? If you're not going to use me, at least let me refer you to someone. Right. So there's always a way to gain business or to show your leverage. I have definitely gotten several people in position to make purchases.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that I look at when I've had those situations where somebody I know didn't use me. My first thought is like, oh, jerk. And my second thought is, well, Jake, let's take a look inward and see, like, when was the last time I even talked to them? When was the last time I brought them some kind of value to help them without any expectation of their business or commitment or anything? And it, you know, 10 times out of 10, it's not for a while. So I totally agree. I think that's great. And so maybe this is the same thing. Maybe this is what you just said, but what do you feel like is the most important thing that you've learned over your career in real estate so far?
Be ready. Be ready. The same thing that one is, when I came through the doors, I'll say, when I came through the doors of B cities, I initially was overwhelmed. right? Because I never thought that I would start at Beach Cities, because I knew that my client wasn't necessarily going to be the person that's purchasing right now in Manhattan Beach or, Hermosa Beach. So for me, initially starting a business, it was overwhelming. And I don't know, it could be somebody here that's having that same thing. But it was the best decision that I made to come there. And in that, I just made sure that I stayed ready. I mean, they always say that you supposed to put yourself around people that you aspire to be around, right? And I felt like this space always offered that. It's somebody I can always look to get information. There's somebody who's always has an answer for me. I literally tell people there is not a question that you'll give me that I can't get the answer for. Right? Because I know that I have a wealth of knowledge. I have the opportunity of being a part of Double Up coaching in our office, right? Top 20%. Thank you, Rich. Top 20% of the office. You could not have told me when I came through the door. I manifested it. Of course, we didn't have Double Up coaching at that time. But what we did have is when we had trainings and things, and I would go in, I said, I'm going to stand up there and I'm going to be able to talk one day, right? Now I'm thinking I'm new. Right. My first year, and to also encourage somebody, my first year, it took me to my 11th month for something to come together. My 11th month is when I got my first sale in my first year, 2019. So from then, it just went like wildfire. And from that first transaction until 6 months later, I did 7 transactions in 6 months. Wow. So what I'm saying is that you have to be ready. Already build your business. They're coming. But if they come and your business is not in place, or you don't know what steps you're supposed to take, you're going to fumble. Right. So then I went into Double Up coaching, and I told them that I'm going to fold if I actually have more than 3 transactions at one time. Right. Because I did that one time, 1 September, I had 3 transactions and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do all of this. I can't hold all of this. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to manage this again. It was a fear. Well, I can attest to last month actually assisting. No, it wasn't last month before. Sorry about that. But anyway, I was working with 6 transactions at the same time. Wow. The capacity, right? The capacity, because I put the things in place. I actually had the support. When I was telling myself that I couldn't, I definitely could, because what they say is so true. All of that stuff they told me when we first came here, I said, oh, here we go, right? So 1, what they said, what you manifest. 2, what you actually think, what you put into your body, right? And then also that you call your people. I'm like, I don't want to call them. I just started. They're not going to. And when I started calling them and started posting, because I am definitely a private person. You could not tell that from my social media now, because I've learned how beneficial it is. But now I actually tell the story. I let people know when I'm speaking. I let people know when I'm walking through a property. Even when I don't have a client with me, I'll go and walk a property and show what's out there, because it's getting somebody else that's in position. Like, Kim, where is this? What is this? How much is this? So just be ready. That is my advice. If there's nothing else I could tell you, already have your buyer's list, your buyer's presentation, your listing presentation, already have that outfit that you're going to be wearing when you go out and sell. What is it going to look like when you hold up that sign and you say, we sold this, right? Or they purchased this. What is that going to look like? See it for yourself already. Dress up, put yourself on camera and say, this is where I know this is the next city I'm selling in. If you don't believe it, who else is going to believe it?
I love that. It's huge into mindset. It starts with mindset, right? And it's visualization. You touched on a little bit of that, and you just you also said manifestation, like you just started doing it and it would happen, right? And I love that you did that and that you shared that. Thanks. You mentioned something too, like in the middle of that, you were saying it's important what you put in. Are you talking about things like reading books or kind of educating yourself or listening to things? Like, are there some of those books or podcasts, or what do you do? What would you recommend to people on this call that has been helpful to you?
Oh, yes, we've done a lot of different readings. This office, and I know even because I see that we have more than just our office here, but some of our things are actually open to everyone. but I would say that, and I'm like, I usually have my books right here, and Rich knows I usually like have them to be able to show them exactly. So I was gonna say the Millionaire Real Estate, so the MREA, that's definitely hands down a thing, because there you go. One of the things that it said, and one of the questions that was asked of me when I first came, was if I was gonna be a seller's agent or if I was going to be a buyer's agent. And I didn't know the difference initially. So I believe that book initially helped bring me into it. It told me things that I actually didn't know that I would actually experience. I thought it was so far in the distance, but it was actually something that was very attainable. So that book has been definitely very helpful, because now I know, even though I love my buyers, I am in love with sellers. That is my niche. We had a call yesterday, Jake and I was saying that I'm actually down between 3 to 4 days is my max, because I already have a strategy. We go in and we get it done, right? My one client, the last sale that I did, she said, well, doggone, you sold it as fast, because she changed it from the weekend to a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the middle of the pandemic, you guys. That was nasty, brutal, and ugly. But I got it done in 3 days, right? If you have a game plan. I would say that essential to my business also is business planning that I participate in every October. That sets me up for my next year. Also, I would say that, of course, the 135, I definitely utilize. And then we've been reading all kind of books. So we've done Fanatical Listing. We've done, I love Sell It by Sirhan. I have like so many different books that I listen to. So I make it a point that I challenge myself. I have to do at least a training a week. I don't care if that's just me jumping on Zoom with the camera off and I'm listening to it and doing something else, or if I'm doing something on the weekend, or a YouTube, a podcast. I have to have some kind of substance in myself in order to give it away. I had, which was one of the biggest meetings this week, with my family. Your family could be like a huge one, right? Because they're going to ask you questions that other people are not going to necessarily ask you. So anyway, I was able to go in there informed with information that was inclusive of like some of the Senate bills that were coming up. Now, of course, they're like, oh, we need her. Like, we don't need to talk to anybody else, because don't take it for granted just because somebody's your friend or family that's your business. You show up for them just like you show up for everybody else. So anyway, that's what those are the kind of things I get excited about. You got to put something in yourself in order to pull it out. And I just want to say for a second, I'm like, I see Jerry, Nix, I see Thomas, I see all kind of people that I've seen in the field or been to your open houses or to your homes. I have never seen your face, but I know that we have done business through phone or email. I'm just excited to see some familiar faces in the audience. So thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, that's great. I love what you said there. You have to fill yourself up in order to pour out to others.
Yes.
In order to give, right? It's like, take care of yourself first, and then you can help others. Make sure that you're good, you're right, and then you're able to come from a more powerful place, more of a place of impact. That sounds like it's a value of yours.
Yeah, because it's like when you initially come in, of course, you don't want to seem like you're the expert. It's okay to tell people like, okay, I'll get back to you, things of that nature. But there is a part that ends up transitioning where you need to take more of a power in leadership. And that's where I go with my mentors, where you need to actually be in position to be able to offer value. Because that's the reason why they're using you, is because you're going to be offering value. So what does that look like? So how are you able to translate that? Know what your best communication is. How do you best communicate? Do you communicate best through email, text message, phone calls, right? How does your client receive information? How do they want to be communicated through? Do they like emails? Do they like text message? Do they like face-to-face? Do they like Zoom? Whatever it is, you have to know what's your best way of communicating and how they receive information. And if it's something that you don't usually use or utilize a way to communicate, and that's their best way to communicate, it's going to be uncomfortable for you. But you have to actually use all those different muscles so you know how to flex and pivot when they need something from you.
I love that. Okay, if you had to, knowing what you know now, I know you mentioned it took you 11 months before you put anything together your first year. Obviously, you have your job. that keeps you busy also. But knowing what you know now about yourself, about the business in general, and what it takes to build the kind of business that you've built, where would you start? Like, what are some things you would do? Because and this doesn't necessarily just apply to people just getting in the industry, because I think COVID last year has forced everybody to take a look at their business and kind of reset. And, at some point, home prices will not continue to be where they are. We are going to experience some kind of a dip, right? Some sort of a true shift. And so I think it's helpful to be able to think through some of these things. What would you do? What would you focus on? Where would you start?
So I would say, I also have to reframe. I want to say that it was 11 months, right? And it was 11 months because that's when it actually came together. Although there were some lessons in that. It wasn't 11 months because the business wasn't there. It was that I didn't trust myself initially, right? I didn't feel like I was a leader or I was educated enough to assist someone in that process, right? So that's the reason why, one, I think that it took to 11 months. But that particular, my first client, who was someone who lives in the Leimert Park area, who had been renting for 22 years, was interested, but wasn't sure if she wanted to jump in, was one of my best teachers ever. Because she told me that it was going to take her a year and a half to purchase. And from the day that we met to the day that she closed, it was 4 months, right? And that was because I educated her on everything. This client literally wanted to go through the RPA from the first line all the way down to the last, right? So we went through everything. And she even wanted to deduct the things that were not applicable, right? So you could imagine what kind of buyer she was, but it was amazing opportunity to be able to support her in that. So the other thing is sometimes things didn't come together because, again, I wasn't in position, right? I wasn't in position. I didn't trust myself. And I didn't tell people that I was in the business initially because I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready to launch. So I'm saying you came here into real estate because you wanted a business. When you want a business, you have to definitely have a business plan and you got to be ready to launch. So I am so excited to have one of my line sisters who is going to be joining the business on. And we are already talking about how, when she hits the ground running, how we're already going to be in business, right? And your business isn't sometimes even transactions. Your business is just talking about yourself, saying what you're able to do, saying what you're actually going to be able to bring, right? It's actually manifesting those things. And I'm like, that is, I guess, in prayer today that kept on coming up. So I want to keep on giving that out. You definitely have to be in position. And I don't tell people my 11th month as it being like womp, because what you'll read also in the MREA is that sometimes people come to the business and never will do a transaction. Then sometimes people will be here for years and still haven't done a transaction, right? That doesn't take anything away from you. It just means you got to keep on showing up and you got to keep on. Like, who is your client? Once you find out who your client is, who are you speaking to? Who will be gravitating to you? You'll be even better at it. It took you 13 months. Yeah, Rich. But then after 13 months, you were off and running, right? So yeah, it's a different story for all of us, what it took to get in. But once you get in, you got to be able to hold on and you got to be able to keep on the ride, because this is emotional. If nobody else told you, it's emotional for your buyer, it's emotional for your seller, and it's emotional for you. But somebody has to be consistent and somebody has to actually walk them through the process. So your venting session and your frustration and everything doesn't happen necessarily in front of them. Those are the things that happen right here in these walls that we support each other with. Like, I can't believe this, or have you had this experience, right? This is where you build you build that capacity is right here in these doors. So I would say that one of the things is Keller is definitely a great place to start, a place to stay and to grow your business, because there are so many different levels that you could aspire to be just being around. I'm excited, as you guys see, to be able to be a part of the office, to be a mentor now, to be a trainer, like all of those things, right? In just 3 years, when I realized that there was something that I actually had that other people could benefit from. So I didn't want to sit on my hands anymore. I didn't want to have my mouth closed any longer. And people who know me in other areas will be like, we would never think that that's how you would show up in a new thing, right? In a new business in real estate. But that's how overwhelming initially it was for me. But now I tell people all the time, I will sell LA, put it in front of me, and I got it. Now I might call Rich with a panic call, or Jake and send him a text, but we're going to get through it, right? And we're going to celebrate on the other end of it. But you got to trust yourself that you're going to actually grow by leaps and bounds. And because of that, even being dual career, I definitely have a profitable business right now. I literally can say that, you know, my business literally took me to Jamaica just last week. And I told Jake I was my travel had got messed up because my hope was to get by the Keller Williams office there. Right. So those are the kind of things, like, you just show people the access that you have just being here in this network of that you can sell anywhere. Right. Jake, how many associates did you say that Keller Williams has?
Over 180,000.
Right. You have access to 180,000. There are so many different offices that you could tap into. Right. So even if your cousin, because everybody's moving to Arizona, Texas, and Georgia, you tell them you got somebody there too. Right. So I've actually had referrals that I've assisted, which is not in my numbers, Jake. I just thought about that when we were going over numbers yesterday. I assisted a family member was making a sale in Arizona. Somebody from Texas, because of a social media post, ended up giving me their client that was living here. It was her best friend, but she's an agent in Texas. So that's just how fast this thing will go, right? So that's why I say be in position. It could be that one phone call. It could be being in the grocery store. It could be at a social event, because most of the time, have any of you had this experience? Raise your hand or send up some confetti if this has happened to you. Have you been somewhere and you didn't even know that it was going to happen? Maybe holding a drink, a beverage, or water or whatever, and you're just in a circle and somebody's like, oh yeah, such and such sells real estate. Have you had that? Exactly. And they'll put you on just like that. And what if you stumble and you don't know what you say? Like, there's so many times where I'm just trying to be cool in the room. I'm not trying to work. I don't have my work hat on. And somebody's like, oh yeah, when you want to buy, Kim's right there. Or, oh yeah, you said you wanted to move over there. You should ask Kim about it. Right. Now, what if I was like, no, I'm not working right now. Or no, I don't know about that neighborhood, right? I would lose the opportunity. So that's the reason why I say over and over again, is just be in position, make sure that you know how you show up, what people see when they see you. Actually get some feedback from other people. How are you showing up? Because if you're not showing up that you have the capacity of being able to walk somebody through, they're not going to trust you with it. Make sure you also pay attention to what you're putting out in the universe. So what are you putting out when you're speaking? What are you putting out when you put on social media? If your social media page is nothing but negativity, or if your social media page is nothing but everything else but real estate, why would they trust you with real estate? Right? So it's a way to infuse it with not only personal, but also business. So people don't feel like they're choked by just, I'm going to silence her page because that's all she's talking about, where, oh my gosh, I can't believe, X, Y, and Z. Or I often, since I already talked about Franny today, Franny also is a dual career. I said she's an entrepreneur of so much. But one of the sales that she does is desserts, right? And I just want to be able to support her. And that's a natural, like, not because I'm trying to do anything else, but people see me as a service when I'm able to actually say, oh, you've been looking for ice cream? Here, let me put this ice cream up here. Let me, like she's having a pop-up here, and you can get some of her desserts, right? And just from those type of relationships and just then people want to come. Oh, what's Kim talking about today, right? What does she have? Where is she going, right? And so sometimes I put a post and I forget that I even told people that, but people will walk up to me and be like, oh, how did that go? I'm like, wow, right? So just anyway, know that you have content, know that you have value, know that you can add to someone else, and know that you're worthy. Know that you're worthy of a profitable business, and definitely know that everything that's supposed to come to you is going to be yours. And nothing that is not supposed to be yours will ever be in the mix. Know that you are protected and you are covered. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. I think we could clearly talk for, we could clearly do this. I would love to keep doing this. I want to, be respectful of everyone else's time. So I think we should just end it on that. That was a powerful way to go and start the day. Everybody, thank you so much for joining, Kimberlee. Thank you so much for your inspiration, your words, for showing up. I think that's my biggest takeaway is show up and just get it done, like figure it out and believe in yourself first, be your own biggest fan, and then show up and the rest will follow.
And the rest will follow. Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for your time. Jake, thank you for the opportunity and inviting me to such a great group. I appreciate being here, and thank you so much for each of you pouring into me today. I think it's never a chance that we are not going to actually, no other chance that it'll be all these people together. So let's make it a positive exchange. Thank you for your energy and your contribution to this morning.
Love it. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day and a great start to the weekend.